Okay, welcome everyone for this webinar. And yes, this is a webinar which is on WSH career that you have in industry. Good afternoon and very warm welcome to everyone. And is this a wet and rainy afternoon? Thank you for registering for this webinar and welcome to this program. My name is Alex, and before we begin, let's look into a thing like let's pause for a while and think back. Why are we here? Some of you will be here for the reason that you want to choose a career in WSH. Some are quite baffled on whether you want to switch into a new job scope, into the field where you will be working in WSH Professional by attending those WSH courses. Or you may be thinking in whether should I be taking this career? Should I take a leap of faith to be into this field? Let me tell you my story. Okay, quite a number of years back during the schooling time, I've been traveling, and then there was a case where I encountered an accident on a road, and I saw an animal being hit by an oncoming vehicle. And I stopped and I watched that animal. It has a teary eye, and it made me think, I should be an animal surgeon. I should be an animal surgeon. And that was the thing that came into my mind. And progressively with years, I had a thought, why I'm here? Why should I be choosing in being a veterinary surgeon? Because at that point of time, we don't have quite a number of vet surgeons, though you have vet doctors, but surgeons are quite few in the world. And during that period of time, I came across one of my good friend of mine who highlighted me that why don't you hear about this particular program which my brother is doing? And that made me think, okay, so I went to his brother and check for his opinion. And actually he was doing a safety and health program at that point of time. And it made me realize that, okay, it's quite interesting. We have a field where we talk about humans, and in the other field which talks about animal, right? So it has to be chosen. Like I was pretty much confused whether I look for looking into animal health or human. And that made me again baffled, thinking again quite a number of days, and I spent a few months thinking about this, and finally gave a thought that for me, yes, I will choose workplace safety and health. And from there on, I have never looked back. So that's where we are here to look into the webinar, where we are going to focus on WSH and how you can explore a career in this field. Okay. So before we begin, let me make sure that just give me a moment. Okay, so let's look into what ILO has said. We have 2.3 million accidents which cause worldwide, globally, and those people who have died is because of work-related injuries in industries, various industries. That equals to around 6,000 deaths every single day. And if you compare that with a number of people who have had injuries, is 360 million occupational accidents, 160 million victims work-related illness annually. And the major factor where the people have those 340 million, 360 millions is because of occupational diseases, which caters the major number of accidents globally. And hazardous substances, the chemicals which are involved in, caused more than 500,000 plus deaths per year. And that's quite huge compared to the deaths related to other industries where we focus on deaths from falling from height, crane collapse, to name some few. So when we look into this, we go back to our Singapore statistics. We have recorded this year, February 2021, 11 workplace fatalities with the highest number in a single month in last 5 years. So you can imagine the number of deaths which we never encountered in the last 5 years time.
Sorry, Alex,
Yes.
able to full screen your presentation?
It's a full screen, I believe. Yes, is it good?
No, it's still on our presentation mode. Yep, need to hide.
Okay. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Okay, if you look into the fatality rates in last 16 years in Singapore, from the time in 2004 to 2020, if you take death, we had close to 1,000 deaths in various industries. It take an average on yearly basis, we have 60 fatalities per year. That equivalent to one person dying every week, and that's still quite high. So what is supposed to be done? Okay, so we had this vision that by 2028, we want to create a healthy workforce in a safe workplaces where you have the best of the country, which have best practices in terms of safety and health in various industries. Okay, so we want to reach to that level. And that's where the WSH Professionals plays a very crucial role in achieving those goals. So bringing into the strategic outcomes, we have to be focusing on sustained reduction in workplace injury rates. How we can do that, we'll talk about that later. Minimize hazards that lead to occupational diseases. Promotion of good work health force. We also want to look into the strategy is to pervasive adoption of vision zero culture. So these strategies helps us to build up a strong WSH. And this can be achieved by taking the ownership, enhancing the focus on workplace health, and promoting technology-enabled WSH. Okay, so that's a key recommendation that we want to move on specifically into build companies' capabilities to promote workforce health. So different industries, they have different needs, they have different hazards. And that's where the company need to build their capabilities by make sure that the workforce that they have, they are healthy. And this can be done through a proper training with various technologies which can cater towards an improvement in overall workplace safety and health. So as per our Member of Parliament, Melvin, there is no doubt that every employer agrees that workplace safety is important, but to truly make WSH even more pervasive, I believe that having a trained WSH representative in every organization would help. So it's quite important that industry realizes the importance of WSH professionals and to have one in the organization or to help them build up those WSH culture, which is the foundation, a cornerstone in any industry. Okay, so to build up WSH culture, what is the purpose of having a WSH culture? This is to be definitely developed by the professionals. So it helps you to prevent workplace accidents, minimize injuries, absenteeism in industries. It builds up a trust between management and employees, and definitely caring to the employees. Singapore has aging population. So if you look into the aging population here, the main resources that we have is human resource. So they need to be nurtured, they need to be cared for. They need to be strong enough to ensure that the movement towards Industry 4.0 is achieved only when we have a worker 4.0 that are quite skilled technologically, quite advanced in terms of technology as well, and WSH, which plays an integral part in any organization to have a strong foundation. And there you have a WSH culture. So it's something where WSH professionals need to update themselves regarding what kind of industry developments we are looking in. From the 20 years when I first moved into a WSH to where I am right now, a lot of things has been evolved. New technology has came in, a lot of hazards has changed, modified, and have evolved with time as well. And there you need to keep on upgrading yourself from time to time to build up the competency level, which are quite current. And based on industrial demands, you need to raise the level, raise the bar to make sure that you constantly upgrade the area that you are in. And when you're in WSH professional, is never too old or never too late to upgrade yourself, because it is a field which changes with time, and it's almost important that you need to keep abreast with the industry development as well. So WSH professionals should be at the forefront to leverage technology and innovations. Okay, so when we do participation in kind of any innovation stuff within an organization, we need to look in that what are the needs that a company has, what kind of technological improvement you can have in a company, how they can improve the workforce job. Like when I used to work in industry, then I used to communicate with a lot of people, including workers, supervisors, all the different level of organization, to have an idea that how they can improve their work by modification in a minor tweak in their job, or a change in a design which can significantly reduce the time involved in performing those tasks. And definitely, yes, improving the workplace safety and health. You will be quite surprised that you can have such kind of ideas, thoughts generated even from a worker level. Okay, so it's always important as a WSH professional. You need to liaise with all level of people in the organization, especially the people at the ground level, to have a more idea on what can be done to improve WSH. Ideas can be generated from them. They can give you a quite important thoughts and even designs as well to improve the workplace safety. Then we need to also focus on implementing a total workplace safety and health. Total workplace safety and health focuses on these three the three pillars that makes a triangle, where you're focusing on work, you're focusing on the health of the human, and then you're focusing on the safety aspects of it. So these three makes a triangle, and that makes a holistic approach towards a total workforce in terms of WSH. And that's what we are focusing on in future to achieve a breakthrough in WSH performance. This can be done, definitely it can be done. It has been done by many industries. There are a lot of professionals, WSH professionals, who have implemented such kind of technological innovations, implemented total WSH to improve productivity in the workforce, to minimize accidents, injuries in the workforce, to reduce fatalities as well. Okay, so that's something which you can look in to build up your WSH performance. Moving on to the future. Okay, we want to have a future workplace which are quite advanced, quite connected with internet, IoTs. Okay, so this is where you see the picture on the left hand side. You have a cranes which has a camera inbuilt in to tell you the crane operator is distressed, or is feeling sleepy. Remember, you have a concentration, lack of concentration when operating a crane. It can result into an accident. So it's quite important. You need to focus on these technologies. Drone, which can be used for inspection checks in a building where it's difficult for people to access certain locations and quite hazardous location. So drone can be quite helpful. You can also have methods and technologies where you can make the workplace quite simple. I mean, you don't want to make it quite a complex where we are looking into a world of transformer. Not to that level of industrial technologies, but something which people can get used to it. They can get accustomed to the change. And that's exactly where we are focusing in as well. The future of WSH definitely lies in total WSH. This has been practiced worldwide. A lot of Western countries, they use this as one of the serious means of implementing in the workplace. And it has rewarded them quite well. Like one of the IT industry, they have reaped in $192 million by implementing a wellness program in their company. They have reduced absenteeism. They have minimized the injuries in the workplace because when you focus on human, you're focusing on them as a complete package. You're looking them in terms of whether their health are good, they're physically fit, they're able to provide those energies efficiently in workplace, they're mentally sound, stress, fatigue, all of these factors plays a crucial role in minimizing the productivity, which thereby raises the chances of accidents and injuries. Like when we talk about back, the ILO findings that the number one cause of the accident, the workplace factor, is long working hours. Okay, so the long working hours is one of the major cause. And you'll be quite surprised, the deaths, the number one deaths is COPD, occupational disease, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That's the number one cause of deaths globally, followed by stroke. The third is ischemic heart diseases. Now, I'll be quite surprised. Why are we talking about this? The health issues. These health issues can be because of various factors. If you sit in a place, if you sit in a chair, it can be an office environment, it can be any workplace. If you sit in for more than 8 hours, the chances of ischemic heart diseases, it rises by 30%. Stroke rises by around 35%. Okay, so that's the reason why you have a lot of deaths because of this. And if you look into the fatalities from falling from height, from confined space accidents, they're quite less compared to occupational diseases. And that's the reason why we need to look into the overall health and well-being of the workforce. Okay, so this is one of the job scope of WSH professionals. It's quite interesting. I mean, when you look into industrial wise, you need to be catering those qualifications in that area as well. So workforce qualifications will look into different levels that we have to help you to aspire to be a WSH professional, starting with a certificate level. Okay, so that is quite operational. You have a higher certificate, which is level 2. Advanced certificate, you have a supervisory level program. You can be quite like a coordinator working in industries. You can go to the next level, which is quite specialist diploma program. We have a specialist diploma in workplace safety and health, which is a mid senior management or senior specialist range. Then you have a graduate diploma program, which is a senior management or master specialist level 6. So WSH qualification level titles, as we have gone through in the previous slide, the level, that the credit value, which is the number which you see here, is actually the number which is the skills requirement catered to it. So the minimum credit value is 15 for the graduate diploma to all the way 10 in certificate program. So, and the minimum skills requirement is 5 from the graduate diploma all the way to the certificate level, which is also 5. So skills framework for workplace safety and health. So skills framework focuses on career pathway. Okay, we want to have a proper career pathway for people who want to cater for WSH roles. And that's the reason why Skills Framework helps you to build up those areas, to have a competency by raising you into a raise where you start from a supervisory level all the way to a diploma level. And that can be sufficed by attending all those training programs, which are quite industry specific. Okay, these have been decided by Skills Framework. It's a skills future initiative developed for Singapore workforce to promote skills mastery and lifelong learning. And like I said earlier, learning never ends, okay? Because with the world which is changing every moment, you need to learn on daily basis. Okay, so it's something which we need to be quite realistic on the fact. So Skills Framework for WSH sectors is jointly developed by Skills Future Singapore, SSG. We have WSG, Workforce Singapore. We have Council, employers. We have trade union, that is NTUC, and definitely education and training providers that we have is in where we're working right now. It's NLHub and many other training providers. So career map for WSH professionals can be from operational, audit, then we look into quite a corporate level. So when we focus on different career map, you can start your career map with workplace safety and health supervisor. So that's where you start in from. You move on to the next level, that is WSH coordinator, workplace safety and health coordinator. You can move in to occupational hygiene officer. You can go to the same blue line up above to become a WSH officer. Occupational hygienist focus on the occupational health part of the WSH. We have workplace safety and health, which focuses on both safety as well as health. Then if you move to the right-hand side, you see the yellow. It's quite auditor that we're focusing on. You become an auditor in WSH field. Moving up into the blue line, you see a workplace safety and health officer. You have a senior workplace safety and health officer, and then you become a manager. As you progress with the experience that you have in WSH, you can be a director or a senior regional manager or a senior corporate manager in any organization. You may be a senior vice president or assistant vice president in future, who will be catered for global workplace safety and health in a respective industry. So they're quite a huge role that you can look in future. You look at taking into the factor the WSH aspect is not just limited to the supervisory, but all the way to the vice president level. So different organizations, they have presence globally. So you can be a global head in WSH, and quite a number of colleagues that I have, they are global head in safety and health in various industries. And that's something which you can strive and aspire to be. So moving on to a specific area that we have here at NTUC LearningHub is safety and health in terms of supervisory level. We have it at the coordinator level and at the officer level. We do have an occupational hygiene program, which caters for WSH in terms of occupational hygiene, which is a different field, as a part of the field in safety and health. It's a quite niche field, which is quite unique by itself. We have all these programs at NTUC LearningHub for you to look in once you have an idea on where to move on. So critical work functions that we focus on is deploying a workplace safety and health programs, which can be done at all the three levels. Okay, so you can be a supervisory, you can be a coordinator or an officer. You need to manage WSH performance. So safety and health performance it can be in form of a leading indicator or lagging indicator that you need to cater in at all the levels as well. Manage business continuity. Business continuity is quite critical in today's world, that if you have an operation or any kind of emergency situation that can affect your business continuity, so you need to plan to manage it. Example, like if you have a COVID, initially, if you look into 1.5 years back, the starting of the COVID, a lot of industry were quite surprised by the impact that it could have it because of COVID. They never thought of it. A lot of industries, they shut down. A lot of industry, they bloomed during this point of time. And those who survived, they have their own stories. Those who didn't, they have their own stories. So business continuity helps you to build up a plan where you can manage your operation during a crisis like that, which is one of the critical function. Develop workplace safety and health management system, which is also important in all the three levels of the safety and health profession, is to build up a system in a company. If you don't have a right system, it's like having an arrow or aiming an arrow at a point where you don't have the dart where you can point at. Okay, so management system is something like that. If you don't have it, you're not having a target and not a proper way of achieving those targets. So management system is something very critical, and it is a cornerstone in any workplace safety and health. So let's begin with the supervisory level. What's the job role in there for you? So supervisors, they are supposed to be conducting a WSH compliance inspection. When we talk about compliance, we talk about law. You need to be familiar with the legislation related to safety and health because it is important. Failure to do so leads to penalties from the authorities. It can lead to a stop work. It can lead to a business disruption. Image can get affected. So that's why it's quite critical and important that you have a WSH compliance check. You also need to assist safety and health planning and organizing, conducting risk assessment. So you would have heard risk assessment in your current company or in the field that you are in, because risk assessment is an integral part of any organization to assess your risk before you perform any task. You also need to do a WSH inspection, checks where the safety has been maintained properly, health has been looked after. You also need to conduct investigation on how the accident happened, find the root cause of the accidents and prevent such occurrence from not happening again. That is one of the job scope as well. Expected to conduct an internal training. You need to train people in various workplace safety and health topics. So you should be familiar with, okay, work at height. You will train the people like 1 week, one time on work at height, on ventilation system, on a crane safety, on a confined space safety, etc., etc. So what you're doing is you're sharing the knowledge in terms of safety and health and experience to the people who are not that familiar, to make the awareness not only within yourself but organization as a whole. So that's some of the important aspects role of the WSH supervisor. You are also required to conduct on-site and work operations closely in terms with the other people, that is occupational hygiene member, to look into how the exposure of chemicals or toxic environments or heat or vibration or a noise which can affect human. Like I said earlier, major cause of death is because of occupational diseases and not a physical accident resulting from falling from height or slip, trip and fall. That's quite weak, where industries are not focusing quite seriously because they don't manifest so easily. It takes time for such kind of occupational disease to show themselves. And that's the reason why industries are quite weak in those fields. And that's where you are the cornerstone in any organization, to give them an idea, to give them a thought that you need to focus on the occupational health aspects, which is quite critical. Let me give an example. If you look into vibration has it. We know that vibration can result into a noise that can cause an NID. We know that vibration can cause damage to equipment machine, but we don't know vibration can cause a reproductive hazard to workers. If you're operating a crane, if you're operating any kind of heavy equipments, example excavator, a piling machine or a forklift, it can cause a reproductive hazard. impotency in human. It can cause damage to an internal organ. This is not known to the people. This is not known to the industry. So it is quite important, evident that you need to measure what level of vibration a person is exposed to when they're operating such kind of heavy equipments. If you zoom in back, if you realize it, that hardly in industry they do a vibration monitoring or testing. And I mean, if you look into the industry that you're working in, you would have not heard of that. So same way, there are a lot of factors which are not known to organization, and that's where your expertise, your knowledge will play a role in guiding them to make sure that these testings are being done, the effect of the people have been analyzed. You don't want to go into a situation where you go to hospital for a problem that you have for last few months, and the moment you diagnose, when you get diagnosed, the doctor say, sorry sir, your kidneys are failed, and then you get a shock. I was quite okay, I don't have any problem, why my kidneys are failed? You'll be quite surprised with that, but you didn't realize it, that it can be an occupational problem. You maybe have exposed to a vibration which can cause an organ damage, like I said earlier. Okay, so these are the factors which has to be observed in a company, and that's where you play a critical role in ensuring that you work in a cooperation, collaboration manner, and yes, with a good team spirit to solve the problems one after the other. Okay, so the problems may cater in different organization may be quite different. So you have to deal with them one by one. Okay, and then you solve one problem, you go and solve the next problem, and so on and so forth. So as a coordinator, you have a further higher responsibility compared to the supervisory level. You need to conduct health and safety systems in the organization and conduct periodic checks. Now, when you look into these checks, you'll be quite advanced and compared to what you do at the supervisory level. You need to cater for more serious hazards, which may not be visible to supervisory eyes. Hazard can be quite complex. Some hazards are so difficult to figure out because they are superimposed by a different hazard. Like you may not be able to see that hazard because they are superimposing behind one hazard. So they can only be manifested when the first hazard is being exposed. So this can be quite complex, you know. So you need to be technically quite good and quite expert in those field to figure out that. Otherwise, even an expert in those area, like you may have a chemical engineer, you may have an electrician, they may not be able to find out because, like I said, the hazard is so superimposed that you cannot find it unless the first happens. So that's why it's your eyes. You should have those eagle eyes to figure that out, to understand the needs of the people in industry. So workplace job factors, the role which is quite evident for different people who are working in different industries. You should also be familiar with that as well, not only just WSH, but you need to be familiar with the industrial work scope as well, which is done by various people. You also need to investigate WSH incidents and coordinate implementation of emergency preparedness and response plan. So you have to coordinate with WSH officers in implementing emergency preparedness. So when we look into emergency preparedness, we always figure out like what I'm supposed to do when there is a fire. You may have an organization procedure that, okay, when you have, like suppose your organization have a two-stage alarm. The first alarm is when you are your standby mode. You've been told to switch off all your equipments, machines, and wait for the further instruction. The second alarm is when you evacuate the workplace. That's what is written in the procedure. But what if you have a fire right under your nose? Do you follow procedure or do you evacuate? So when you prepare a procedure, you need to be preparing in such a way they are quite realistic. They're quite realistic and not just in a paper format. So when you have a fire right under your nose, you won't be waiting for the first alarm to tell you that stay calm, and then the second alarm confirming that you need to now evacuate. What you'll do, you will definitely evacuate immediately. So that is out of the procedure. So you have to develop a procedure, coordinate with the officer to have such procedure which is quite realistic and not just a paper document. You're also required to do work on site in this course of work. That means you have to perform other roles as well. You also need to be practical and quite meticulous in solving those issues. You need to observe hazards, which can be quite comprehensive, ranging from the fire, physical, psychological, electrical, mechanical, ergonomic hazards. There are quite a number of hazards which are quite comprehensive, and they can be quite uh, decisive. You have to take a prompt action. You have to solve the problems immediately if it is something which can have a potential threat to people's health and safety. Moment you go to a safety officer level, you go to WSH, your roles is kind of managing workplace safety and health. You will be developing and monitoring organization safety programs. You have to develop procedures in liaison with maintenance manager, operations managers, engineers. You have to coordinate, communicate with different level of organization to come out with a proper procedure. Because it's not that easy to develop a procedure, and that's where you'll be taught on how to come out with those way of channeling in to have a more realistic procedure. You also need to conduct surveys. Behavior-based surveys is quite important nowadays, where we focus on human behavior. As per W.H.W. Hendrick, the father of safety, okay, he has coined that 88% of industrial accidents happens because of human error. Human error is the main cause of accidents. So behavioral is quite important. You have to focus on human behavior, how they can change with time. If you take an example of a human, like suppose we as an organization, if we don't provide resources to you, right resources to workforce, they may be performing the task in an unsafe manner. They may be performing tasks in an unsafe manner. Example, a worker need to use a ladder to perform a drilling work, or say he want to do a painting job. And what he does is, because the ladder height is not enough, what he'll do, he will take a paint drum, he will turn it upside down, put the ladder on top of it, and then climb it. So when you go for inspection or checks, what you observe is an unsafe behavior. But then you need to find out the real reason behind that unsafe behavior, which can be triggered by the lack of resources. So that's where the WSH role will be. Okay, so as a WSH officer, you have to look into that level of understanding to make sure that resources that is needed for the people to perform or manage those tasks is being provided. You also will be quite a cornerstone in providing a legal advice to the organization, because the WSH legal advice has to come from you. If you're not sure about that, definitely you have authorities to assist you. You can ask questions to them. They can cater for all the queries that you have. But it is definitely an important, you are the first person in the organization to provide the organization with a legal advice in terms of safety and health. You need to definitely work as a good teamwork is quite important and evident in any workforce. Without a proper coordination, communication with different team, you cannot be solving the problem. Okay, so you need to definitely collaborate with multiple parties in solving those issues, which is quite interesting, because if you work in a logistic industry, you will know it's a different hazard there. If you work in a pharmaceutical sectors, there's a different hazard there. If you go into process industries or chemical industries or machining industries or construction sectors or marine sector, to name some few, you will find the issues and the problems in different industries are quite different. And it can be resolved only when you work in team. So that's where the WSHO's role is, not just to develop the procedures, do inspection checks, but to work with other team people, okay, to make it effective implementation. So this program that we have at NTUC LearningHub is focusing on the level that you have for the communication, for decision making, for problem solving. So supervisory level, we have a basic program, because you are not to that advanced level. So we have a basic program. The I represents intermediate level, okay, intermediate level of communication. For coordinators and decision making, problem solving is a basic level. For WSHO, you have intermediate for each of the communication, decision making, and problem solving. So you need to, why these courses are important? They're definitely quite important. They're soft skill, but they're very, very important. You need to be able to communicate well to the people, because if you do not communicate well, they may not understand you. Okay, let's take an example. If you take an example of a sanitizer, if you have a sanitizer which is a cylindrical, the person who is looking at it, they may see it at 2D format, so it may look as a rectangle for them. If you turn the sanitizer in the other way, 90-degree, it may look as a circle to a person. So what happens now is a person is looking at a same thing in different angle. He's looking at a cylindrical form, he's looking at a rectangle form, he's looking at a circle form. And when you have different people thinking it differently, then you will not be able to solve the problems. You must make them realize that what you're looking at is a sanitizer, which is a cylindrical form, not a rectangle, not a circle. So they have to see everything. Everyone should be thinking same. Okay, so it should not be like quite deviating from the stuff. Otherwise, you may end up having a miscommunication, which may result into an error or an accident. Decision making and problem solving is quite critical as well. So once you decide collaboratively with different parties, you will be able to solve the problems. Okay, so all these three soft skills, they're very important. They're very important foundation skills for you to learn during the period of time. Other training programs which you will be going through is policy, workplace safety and health policy. You'll be going through hazard identification, quite important. You cannot have a workplace safe unless you identify the hazard. So you have the technical skills proficiency level, the number that you see on the right hand side for each of the three columns is the competency level. Okay, so for supervisory, we have a few cases in terms of culture management. In terms of emergency response, we have level of 2 technical skills. For coordinator, we have 2 and 3 technical skills level, and for safety officer, we have 4 to 5 technical skills competency proficiency level that we are focusing on, different topics that is presented here. So we'll be going through all these programs. The gray line represents that the topic is limited to 7 there, okay, for supervisor, for coordinator, but inclusive, you need to go for those foundation skills, soft skill, which is part of it. So here the topics are quite vibrant. They're focusing more on the entire aspect of WSH that you need to be performing as a WSH role in any organization. So if you don't have a policy, then the management will not have a commitment towards safety and health, right? So you need to make sure that your company have a policy, safety and health policy. Hazard identification is done because it's part of legislation that you must have risk assessment done, mandatory in all the workplaces. You have a management system. Then the topic number 4 is culture management. We are talking about how to develop a WSH culture. Imagine you are in an industry where your environment is quite toxic. Now, people are not cooperative, collaborative, they are not communicative. What happens? You will not be performing, or you will not be staying in that organization for long. So building a good WSH culture is quite critical in any organization. So you need to ensure that you have a good collaborative approach, a cooperative approach, a good communication between different parties to make sure that everybody understands what is their jobs and roles. Performance management, once you have all this evaluated, you need to perform, check how is the performance in terms of safety and health. So that will give you an idea that, oh, we are still lagging in certain areas which we need to improve. We need to be more zooming in those areas which is lagging or there's a gap in. You also need to be focusing on the incident management. Like I said, that you need to be having an understanding on how the accident can happen, what can be done when there is an accident, how you do an investigation, find this problem, how you find a solution to an issues. This is quite evident in incident management topic that you're going to study. Emergency response, you'll be looking into all different kinds of emergency response, starting from fire, explosion, radiation, biological, spill, etc. So quite vibrant. If you look into emergency response, they are not just a physical response, but it can be a form of cyber threat. It can be a blackout. It can be in terms of such a way that you'll be having those issues which will be quite evolving with time as well. So the emergency identified during period that is now may be changing with time when you look into 2-3 years down the line. Behavioral safe management, which you'll study in WSH officer course. Like I said earlier, you need to analyze people's behavior. You need to modify people's behavior. We are not looking into the behavior modification as you watch in a movie, Jason Bourne. Not that kind of behavior modification, but we are focusing on the behavior which is in relation to safety and health. And that can be done. It can be achieved. And it is quite rewarding once you achieve those targets. Risk management is a quite holistic thing where we focus on workplace safety and health risk, including human factors, which is all catered in. Technical writing, you need to also know how to write a good report, how to be presenting those information in a more systemic format. You can have it collate those information in a quite sequential order to help the audiences understand. Okay, your audiences can be in form of your managers, it can be engineers, it can be your contractors, anybody. So they need to understand what you're writing in. So if you're presenting a report, they need to be in the same page that you're trying to explore them. You'll be also focusing on the audit system. So how the audit is conducted, which is also an integral part in an organization. You also need to conduct a mandatory audit, which is by legislation that you need to have. If you're in a construction industry, you have an external audit, which is conducted every 6 months. If you go to different industries, they have every 12 months. In other chemical industries, they will be auditing every 2 years. One time. Okay, so you also need to be familiar with how the audit protocol is being followed. So all these things will be taught to you when you go to a WSH officer level program. And the last but not the least, you have WSH control measures. So when you talk about control measures, we are focusing on those hierarchies, starting from elimination, substitution, engineering, admin, and PP. So if you look into COVID protocol, okay, so if you want to have a control measures for COVID management, that a lot of safety people are now into it. Can you eliminate the hazard? Can you substitute it? Can you have an engineering design to prevent frequent touch points? What kind of admin control that you have in place? And definitely the PP which is needed to manage spreading of COVID, which are all part of your control measures. So you can apply those hierarchy principle to any industry, to literally any industry, to solve the problem. Okay, so that's quite interesting and effective for you to learn when you apply for those programs. You have other courses which are data analytics in terms of WSH. We'll be launching soon for sure. We have technology application in WSH. This has been approved and we'll definitely launch it. So WSH, like I said earlier, it's quite evolving. A lot of technologies have been used in various industries. And this course is quite important for people who are already in safety and health, or those who are already a safety officer. They want to improve in terms of technological application in industry. Then this course is definitely for them. Okay, so those who are already in the WSH field, this will be quite interesting and quite intriguing for you to think that, yes, this is definitely something which I look forward to. The other courses which focuses on WSH in chemical process and pharmaceutical industries, in laboratories. So this is mainly for coordinator level, for safety officer level. We also have a management system for construction industries, for manufacturing industries, because these industries are quite unique to the nature that you guys will be knowing about it. Marine industries, you can have a ship breaking, you can have a ship building, you can have a ship repair, so many field within a particular industry. So it can be quite comprehensive, and the courses are quite related to those fields, which can be used by people who are currently working as a different role as a production manager or operation personnel technician, and they want to switch to a safety line. To know more about the safety in marine industry or service industries or manufacturing, you can zoom into those particular courses as well. Now this can be quite difficult for you to read in, but you can see the massive field that we have here. From construction, from marine, from chemical process, metalworking, logistics. We have a lot of courses from operational level to managerial level, and only catered for people who are into a WSH field. Quite interesting. Each of these fields have its own challenges, own complexities, which can be applied in those respective field, even respective job scope. When you focus on confined space, work at height, or lifting operation, crane operation, scaffolding, tunneling works, first aid, or a forklift course, they're quite zooming into trade-based jobs, and that's where you will be taught on how the WSH will be quite different in different job. Okay, so this is where we are focusing on at different operational level, supervisory level. We are going to focus on the assessors and the manager level. All these courses are available at NTUC LearningHub for you to choose as an add-on to your core programs, which is a supervisory level WSH, coordinator level, or officer level. It also been applied to anyone who is out of this field, but they are responsible parties for those particular job scope. You can zoom into particular course to be an assessor, to be a manager. Okay, like example, manage work at height. This can be done by anybody in any field. And he's the one who will be managing a workplace in terms of any kind of work at height activity that is going on. Okay, same way, SRM, ship repair manager program, is anybody who is in charge of overall ship safety. Okay, and this program is catered for those people who are in charge of ship. So same way, there are a lot of programs which you quite standalone topics, standalone courses, which you can choose and add on to your competency level. Moving on to other courses that we have at NTUC LearningHub is BizSafe programs. Okay, so we have courses related to BizSafe 1, we have courses for BizSafe 2 and BizSafe 4. Okay, so BizSafe 1 is basically for top management, is a half-day workshop that we have in. BizSafe 2 is a 2 days program. So here we make people competent to zoom into risk assessment, managing risk management in any organization. BizSafe 3 being an audit, we also do consulting for various industries on BizSafe 3 as well, and also for BizSafe Star, which is also an audit as well. BizSafe 4 is more towards a 4 days program that helps the people to send their representative to build up competency in having a WSH management system champion. And this champion role will be to ensure that the system has been built up. If they need assistance, they can always look for consultants to help them and guide them in developing a management system. That's where we can also provide you and solution to those problem as well. Current job market and job opportunities quite massive. We have all the people in different industries which look for safety and health, not limited to the one that you see on the screen, which is like oil and gas, marine, hotel, manufacturing, construction, logistics, semiconductors, even in healthcare sectors, service, and definitely institute. So you can work either as a WSH coordinator, supervisor, EHS engineer, safety officer. You can also work as a trainer. You can work as a manager, safety director, APAC safety head, Asia Pacific region. You can be an occupational hygienist. You can be a global safety director. You can be any of those with experience that you built in with WSH field. Okay, so they're quite massive job scope which are available in the market right now. Examples, you have a coordinator requirement. The salary package is like around 4 to 4.2. This is an actual snapshot taken from a job portal. Okay, you have assistant EHS manager, you have a senior WSH officer requirement, you have officer with a 2 years contract, you have an industrial hygienist required in an Amazon Asia Pacific. You have WSH deputy safety manager in a building construction with a package of 5 to 7K. You have a safety HSE managers in Marina Bay Sands, the construction side. Okay, so 7 to 10K package. So these are quite new. It's not the old job requirements, but quite new to this WSH field. You also have a APAC, Asia Pacific EHS specialist. You have occupational health physician that is needed. Okay, you have WSH specialist APAC region in terms of safety and health. TikTok, okay, they also have a global product directors on ecological health and safety. ByteDance, yes, the TikTok Live, they also have a global product directors, okay, management also there. So the quite number of field that you have, a lot of job opportunities. You can aspire definitely to be a WSH professional. And like I said, yes, once you're certified, you don't limit to it. You have to have that idea that lifelong learning never ends. So to build competency throughout your life, because WSH evolves with time, and it is not static, it's dynamic. It changes. Okay, so we have to change with time. And definitely once you reach to the goal, you don't stop there, you continue to move ahead. Okay, so that's how you will be setting up a strong foothold in the field of WSH, not only for the organization, but definitely one thing that keeps in the mind is you will be protecting workers' life. You'll be definitely ensuring that the workforce are active, productive, and definitely without injuries and accidents. So when they go back home, they go safe. So all these things is right in your hand. And see you soon. Definitely. Thank you for registering for this particular webinar. And if you have any Q&A, you can post that in the chat section. Meanwhile, we'll have a poll for you to answer the three questions, which will be shown to you now. So you can choose single options for first questions. Do you plan to upgrade or upskill yourself? So choose one answer. You have a second question where which courses are you considering? Okay, so you can tick accordingly. And the third question is mainly focusing on, are you aware that you can use your skills future credit for these courses? Okay, so do you want to use those skills future credit? Do let us know as well. Okay, you can click and submit the response. People will address to your needs after the webinar session. Okay, so a few of the questions that we have, I'll answer them accordingly based on the time that we have. Okay. So is the course online, physical? Yes. So we have both. We have online classes. We have physical classes. These classes are on weeknights, weekends. So basically people who are working in industry, they may be available during night time. So we have classes during night. We also have classes during weekends. If you're working from Monday to Fridays and you're free on Saturdays and Sundays, you can also apply during that point of time. We have other questions coming in, quite number of huge responses coming in. You can start with a supervisory level. Yes, you can start with a supervisory level program if you are quite new to WSH, but it is not a prerequisite requirement. You can go to coordinator level straight away. You can do that instead of going to a supervisory level, but recommendation, you can join in supervisory level to have a basic understanding of WSH, and then you jump in to a more advanced WSH program. So that's one thing which you can do in. Courses scheduled based on, you can watch out from our website, NTUC LearningHub. We are scheduled the courses at respective days, times. You can approach to any of our sales counter to get the idea that when you, based on your familiar time, you can check whether this course timeline meets your need, and then you can apply accordingly. you can start with, if you don't have a WSH exposure in industry, or you're totally new to the field, you cannot directly jump into a WSH officer course, because there are prerequisite requirement for that particular diploma program, specialist diploma program. You need to go for coordinator program first. Then you have a 2 years of experience, and then you can move on to a level C program, which is safety officer course. Moment you finish this, you can register with Ministry of Manpower to become a registered safety officer. So you can start with a coordinator, or if you want to know the basics of safety and health, you can start with a supervisory level first. Okay, so it's purely at your discretion that you want to choose. If you're totally new, my advice, you can start with supervisory or WSH coordinator. Okay, another question we have is, after I have done coordinator, to move on to officer, like I said earlier, previous question, that you need to be working as a safety professional coordinator for at least 2 years before you can join the particular program on safety officer, because it's quite challenging. Definitely, you need to be working in industry to help you, because it's quite realistic. The assignments, the course is quite realistic to the industry. So if you are not working in those fields, it can be quite overwhelming for you. Okay, so it's important that you have a safety experience before you join or jump into a WSH officer course. Another quite good question, like if you have an international degree in WSH, how to shift to Singapore job market? Okay, so if you're having a WSH field in other industry, you have university degree or master's program in other field, to you working as a safety coordinator, you can apply to as a coordinator or EHS engineer in an industry. But to work as a WSH officer, you need to be registered with Ministry of Manpower. So you have to apply for that first before you can work as a safety officer in an industry. Okay, so I hope that answers the question. For supervisory course, if you want to go for supervisory level course, you can you can tick those information that is shown in your poll, and we will contact you. We will definitely contact you when the course commences. We'll give you all the information on the course when it's going to commence, which can be added. So this program that we have at NTUC LearningHub, level A, level B, or level C, for those who already have a safety background, or you're already having a bachelor's program in other industry, I still encourage them to go for level C. The reason being is it is quite tailored towards industrial needs in Singapore. It's quite tailored towards industrial needs in Singapore. So it will definitely assist you in exactly what you need to do when you are in industry working as a WSHO. Okay, you may be technically really good, but those management system wise, which you need to improve on, you will definitely get it from level C. So it's quite interesting, and the assignments are designed in such a way that it is catered to industrial needs. Okay, so that will definitely help you. Salary range, yes, I have just show you that a few slides back. It can range from if you are a coordinator, it can range from 2002 to even 4005. 4005, literally. Some chemical companies, they have a starting. If you are a newcomer, they pay you around 3005 to 4002. Okay, that's what they pay. Okay, so this is something which I've come across few of my students, trainees, who have been have got a job and their first time, no experience at all, and they're getting at that pay is quite good, quite interesting. WSH courses are suitable for, yes, that's a very interesting question, age 60 and above. If you that's a very good question. Okay, so if you look at, I've been working with quite a lot of people in the world before. One of my head was a WHO director, World Health Organization. He was a consultant director for World Health Organization. and he's around more than 70 years old. Okay, and he's very active in WSH. And it's like surprise for no, like I was quite young working with him, and I used to see him, and I was quite um, overwhelmed with the way that the enthusiasm that he has in WSH, and he has achieved that. During when I was doing a training for master's program in university, I had one of the student. He came in for master's program, and he's more than he's about 59 years old, and he has many degrees. He has bachelor's in law. He has master's in law. He has done MBA. He's a doctor. He has done a PhD, and then he has joined for a master's program in WSH. So I was quite surprised. How come you have so many degrees and you're still studying? So it's the interest that we have. And then once he learned about that, he realized how interesting is this field, and you can still have your career at the age of 60 and above. There's no time that you can be doing this course. You can do it at any point of time. Okay, you can move into auditor level once you cross a certain age where you are not quite mobile. You can go for WSH auditor level program. Okay, so that can help you as well, but definitely you have to go for level C first before you go into venture into that level. Yes, you can proceed to a higher level program. Specialist diploma, yes, that's what we have here at NTUC LearningHub. You can inquire with those that we have in our sales. You can go to DNI counter to check that. Our people will definitely highlight you on how you can join in. You can also go for a degree MBA. It doesn't matter, regardless of what degree you have, as long as you have a safety background, you have worked with industry before in terms of WSH, you can enroll to a specialist diploma in WSH as well. Okay, so that's that another pathway for you to be working at. There is age limit. Okay, interesting question as well. Is there any age limit to enter in safety? Okay, for coordinator level, WSH level, there is no age limit. Okay, I have people who are attending this program, and they're retiree. We already have quite a number of people who are retired age. They're retired already from industry, and they're taking this job. They're taking this field of WSH by knowing that it's important, and it can help them to cater those time when they're free by doing those WSH roles. So they have attended quite a number of people. I come across trainees. They're retired age, and they want to work as a coordinator. Okay, so that's what I've come across. Same. I mean, if you go to different training providers, we have CISO, Nyang Poly, Singapore Poly. Yes, they do also conduct safety officer course. Similarly, NTUC LearningHub also have the same stuff. We do conduct those programs. We have quite a pool of experienced trainers. Okay, quite a massive pool of experienced trainers in terms of safety and health, which can and these trainers are quite enthusiastic. They are quite there to help you in every way that can be kind of in terms of guidance. They can be a form of mentor, coach you outside the line as well. Okay, so they can even help you to aspire to be what kind of pathways can be chosen, etc., etc. So we have quite a number of massive pool of trainers which can help you to guide in compared to other areas, other institutes. Checklist templates, yes, you'll be learning about those checklists, templates, and procedures once you join in, because there are different formats for different set of procedures for different industries, and you can have a standardized template, which will be teaching you when you are in this program. They're quite a standard template which you can use in industries. Okay. Yes, that's again an interesting question. You have to maintain SDU points. Yes, you need to maintain an SDU points. Not every year. You need to do that on 2-year basis. Okay, so you have to maintain those SDU points, 40 SDU points for people who are registered safety officer with MOM. You can meet that requirement by being a WSH professional. You can get those points. You can, like I said, lifelong learning. You can attend any training program which can give you those SDU points. And we have a lot of more than 10,000 safety officers in Singapore, and they all attend different courses to get those SDU points in field of WSH. Okay. General workplace office setting, how is WSH applicable? Definitely is applicable. Okay, if you look into like at the first few slides I talk about is the major cause of death globally is because of long working hours. Sitting for a long time can cause 30% of a chance of risk in heart diseases. That's why if you see ILO statistics, it shows that ischemic heart disease is number 3 cause of occupational death globally. Okay, so it's very relevant. So safety and health in terms of office safety, your indoor air quality, your ergonomic study, your fire safety, etc., which can be applied in any office environment, Okay. Universities, yes, polytechnics, they do have WSH courses. They also run certificate-based programs or certificate courses which are short duration, 5 days, few months. Yes, they do have that. Yes, quite interesting questions. Okay, yes, definitely. You need to, there is a renewal fees that you need to pay to MOM once you become a registered safety officer. That is every 2 years, you pay around $60 for renewal purpose. That's quite minimal. Okay, so that is to maintain your certification for another 2 years. Okay, so you have to do that, yeah. You cannot directly go to diploma program. Like I said earlier, you need to go for coordinator because of no safety work experience. That's the reason. Okay, so that's what the answer which I highlighted earlier. You need to have your coordinator level program first with 2 years of experience in safety and health before you switch into the specialist diploma in WSH. Okay. Any other questions? Feel free to ask, put that in the chat. Yep, thank you, Lee. Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Yeah, take care. Those who have questions, feel free to ask questions. Yep, stay blessed, you as well.
Alex, there's a question on the injection molding. Would you like to take that?
Oh yeah, okay. I'm from injection molding, powder coating, PCB assembly, and also metal die casting manufacturing for these industries. Okay, WSH, yeah, molding industries. Yes, I've been previously working in the project in molding industry as well before. They're quite interesting and quite challenging as well. Okay, so just being a manufacturing industry, you have you can look into the field of occupational hygiene, which can be more relevant to your industry because it's quite vibrant and it's quite in-depth in terms of managing those occupational hygiene related problems in that particular industry, which is definitely very interesting. And you can cater for that particular program. Okay, so I will definitely recommend you to go to occupational hygiene, specialist diploma in occupational hygiene, which is more suitable to those industry. Okay, so any other questions? Yes, you have options. If you don't want to register with MOM, you can still go without being registered with MOM. But what can you work as a safety officer in industry? In manufacturing sector, I've come across many people who don't have who are not registered with MOM, and they work as WSH manager, they work as a WSH officer, EHS engineer in a manufacturing industry. I've come across many industry like this. Okay, so if you're not registered with MOM, you can still work as a safety officer, but not a registered safety officer. Take note. You can also be working as a WSH manager without being registered with MOM. It can be done. Yeah. Chemical process, yes, we do have a chemical process program, Christine. Yes, we do have a chemical process, which is quite important also. Knowing the complexity of chemical that we have, you can also, I will recommend you to go for a standalone module on managing hazardous substances. That's a 5 days program that we have, which is standalone program, which is more zooming into chemicals. Okay, pharmacy industries, laboratories, I worked in all those industries before, and occupational hygiene will be one of the program which I will definitely recommend. Okay, you can choose some standalone programs, modules, which will definitely cater into all those industries that you have mentioned. Healthcare sectors, yes, healthcare sectors, you can it's quite interesting field. I've been working in that industry for quite 1.5 years as well. Hospitals, which is also challenging. I mean, especially so you can focus on those healthcare related programs that we have as well. For healthcare sectors, a more suited program will be definitely the physical aspect of safety and health, which you can take a coordinator level. For more core competency level in focusing on different hazards associated with the hospital, I will recommend occupational hygiene specialist diploma. Okay, which is more specific and zooming into the hazards related to various manufacturing, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, even healthcare sectors, marine, any industry. Yes, you can focus on occupational hygiene program, even for die casting industry. Yes, you can. WSHO, yes, you can sign as a assessor for the permit to work system. You can. Okay, you can do that. Yes. Those who have questions, yes. Okay, we have few. Okay, if you can I leave? Yes. For those who don't have questions, yes. Thank you for registering and being part of this particular webinar. We'll look forward to you in future for sure. Okay, so those who have questions, stay back and we'll address your questions. If you have any questions, let me. You can. I'll just write down email. You can contact. You can contact them straight away. Okay. Okay. So if you have any questions and it's not been answered, you can mail us at any point of time, and we'll address your queries. Okay. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe, and we look forward to see you soon in WSH program. Okay, take care. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yep. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. See you. Bye-bye.